Society functions on a quiet, invisible web of basic decency. We share spaces and go to sleep assuming the peers we live with won't intentionally try to destroy us. Zian, a 24-year-old who struggled with social cues, relied on that assumption. But his roommates, Jake and Corey, exploited his neurodivergence to inflate their own egos, mocking his clumsy movements and slow speech as if his existence was a punchline. The cruelty peaked when Zian finally worked up the courage to ask out a neighbor named Leela. Knowing exactly how she would react, Jake and Corey convinced Zian that wearing a cheap plastic donkey mask to the date would be a hilarious icebreaker. Leela took one look at him in the crowded pub and walked out in stunned disgust. Returning home to his roommates howling with laughter, something inside Zian broke. He stopped being the passive target. He realized the men he lived with viewed his feelings as entirely disposable. Zian spent days at the local library researching toxic plants, eventually harvesting water hemlock from a riverbank near their complex. He knew exactly what the white flowers would do: convulsions, vomiting, and a rapid, agonizing death. He chopped the hemlock fine and masked it with tomatoes and cumin in a large pot of chili. He even left a note on the container reading, "Zians, do not eat," fully aware that his roommate's habit of stealing his food would guarantee they took the bait. Jake and Corey assumed Zian would stay a passive target. They never realized that by stripping away his dignity, they had inadvertently trained him to view them with the same cold detachment they had shown him, a shift that ended with Zian watching them die on the kitchen floor. If casual cruelty among peers can trigger lethal retaliation, what happens when deception infiltrates a relationship promised on lifelong devotion? Daniel, a bank manager, spent 3 years telling his fiancé he couldn't handle any distractions at his job. In reality, he was constructing a highly regimented system to hide the fact that he was already married to another woman. He organized his double life in a physical day planner, mapping his schedule with code words to separate his real family from his mistress. His son's birthday party was logged as a dental appointment. His anniversary dinner was written as a prostate exam. This elaborate system collapsed in a single afternoon when his fiancée dropped by the bank to deliver a forgotten briefcase. She was physically confronted by a bank teller who accused her of trespassing, only to realize that the teller, Lacey, was Daniel's actual wife. In romantic betrayal, the deceiver expends massive amounts of energy building a prison of lies. When those walls inevitably fall, they are left with nothing. Betrayal can also target identity. When a young woman named Aurora discovered her boyfriend liking a successful influencer's posts, she completely mirrored the influencer, Everly. Aurora copied her hair, her clothes, and her content style, rapidly siphoning away Everly's audience. Watching her engagement tank, Everly invited Aurora to Los Angeles. She pitched it as a supportive collaboration between creators, but it was a calculated plot to destroy her imitator's rising career. Everly rigged her Hollywood Hills apartment with physical traps. She hid a small audio recorder in her silk robe and concealed a camera in a bedroom bookshelf, intending to ply Aurora with champagne and capture career-ending footage. But Aurora spotted the blinking red lights. Instead of retreating, she grabbed a sharp decorative knife from the nightstand and pressed it against Everly's throat and seized the recording devices to use as her own blackmail. Attempting to actively sabotage a rival often provides that exact rival with the leverage they need to dismantle your own empire. Familial bonds carry an expectation of loyalty unlike any other. Because these ties are so ingrained, the betrayal feels less like a lie and more like a physical amputation. For years, Alan weaponized his strict religious views against his sister. He relentlessly judged her lifestyle and demeaned her for getting a divorce, projecting an image of moral purity while she struggled to rebuild her life. During a tense visit to Nebraska, his sister checked into a hotel to escape his lecturing. While venting in the hot tub to a friendly woman named Jane, Alan called her. Jane, who worked as an escort, recognized the voice on speakerphone immediately. Her fiercely judgmental brother was actually a frequent client known as Mr. Golden. When his sister confronted him with the nickname, Alan's psychological facade completely shattered. He realized his curated image of superiority was dead. He rushed to the hotel in a panic. Deciding that murdering his own sister was a justifiable price to protect his secret, He stabbed Jane in the corridor to silence her, then turned his blade toward his own flesh and blood. His sister broke free and sprinted down the hallway. Alan bolted after her, knife extended, closing the distance with terrifying speed. But as he leaped over Jane's bleeding body, she used her last ounce of strength. Her hand shot out and gripped his ankle mid-stride. Alan pitched forward, crashing face first into the concrete. The impact drove the knife he was holding directly into his own chest, killing him instantly. The damage of betrayal doesn't stop with the victim. When you weaponize a shared history to protect a lie, the resulting explosion is usually large enough to take you with it.